I would say energy found me. Both my parents were in the utility industry, and so my mom started as a telephone operator when they had kind of the telephone switchboards when you transfer calls with the cords. And then she worked her way through customer services, was a customer service supervisor, became a dispatcher within our operations center, and then became a distribution operator, a transmission operator, and then was in our energy trading and contracts as an energy trader as well. So that's where she retired. So I would say energy has been part of my life since I was very young.
So my story begins when I was 7, and I asked my mom what pollution was because I'd heard that word at school, and she explained what pollution was. And I got very worried about how to clean up the planet at 7 years old, riding in the back of the car. What are we going to do to stop pollution? And that became a broader term for me over time for, or rather a mandate for sustainability. So from the very get-go, I got worried about what are we doing to our planet and how are we going to clean it up? And that translated to later in time when I became a nuclear and mechanical engineer and entered the trade, the energy industry. I became very, very focused on technologies that offer a lower sustainable footprint, a lower greenhouse, much more maximized, optimized sustainability footprint.
That's amazing.
Well, Lora, thank you for taking the time to talk with us here this morning. I'd like to learn more about how you see your role for the Sacramento Municipal Utility District.
So I joke often and say that my boss, our CEO, Paul Lau, wanted to ensure that I knew what the goal was. And so our goal is to get to zero emissions in our power supply by 2030 and to help the region of Sacramento to decarbonize as well through electrification of buildings and transportation. I have overall responsibility for that transition. I'm responsible for our energy supply, our energy resources in terms of our energy portfolio, our resource planning, power generation, so all of our power generation assets, our research and development teams, which are working on trying to find solutions to decarbonize. I also have our grants and partnership team that are looking to partner within the industry, within the community, and then also our grants team to looking to fund the work that we're doing. We also have our customer programs, and I think that is an acknowledgement of the role that our customers will play in the energy transition in terms of their adoption of zero emission resources, distributed energy resources, and their participation in load flexibility.
Right. So listening to you and your boss, Paul Lau, talk about this program is exciting for a person like me who's very interested in the commitment that you're making to sustainability for all of the customers that you're serving. What do you consider to be the top 3 challenges associated with achieving this goal?
Top 3 challenges. Well, when we first started, there were, I would say there's 2 guardrails, and I would say that those are probably still our challenges, and they became our guardrails because we wanted to ensure that we stayed within those guardrails. We not only have a goal of achieving zero emissions by 2030, but we want to do so in a way that we remain affordable for our community, and that we also remain reliable. And those continue to be top of mind when it comes to those challenges. Prices are expensive right now, and we're seeing that in terms of supply chain and increased costs to our projects. And then from a reliability standpoint, we are overhauling our entire energy supply. And when you're doing that, moving away from traditional resources to inverter-based resources, we need to do so in a way that the lights come on when our customers flip a light switch. And so we want to make sure that as we continue to expand those inverter-based resources, that we understand the services that they provide in terms of grid forming, grid following capabilities, and whether or not they can or cannot provide those services to the grid.
So Lora, let's talk a little bit about how important sustainable operations are for achieving the vision of net zero carbon. One of the things that utilities often talk with me about is the importance of the technology stack and how it all needs to work together. Can you talk a little bit about what's on the agenda for the next couple of years to help your utility get there by 2030?
Yeah, one of the things that I think we've done really well on the grid side is we do have kind of really solid platforms in terms of being able to leverage a platform across all the different functions that we need within our core operations on the grid. Where I think we are now focused in terms of making some improvements is on the customer platforms as well. So those systems that support our customer operations and our customer programs. I think we have not done as good of a job in terms of leveraging the existing platforms that exist within the industry. A lot of what we've done is we have built kind of best in class, or we've gone out and purchased best in class, but we have kind of a spider web of applications now. And so what our CIO is moving forward with, our Chief Information Officer, is looking for a platform approach on the customer side as well. So that way you have a technology platform that can provide solutions in multiple areas and minimize the need for integration with different systems. There's efficiencies obviously internally there in order to do that. And when you're doing that, because you're not maintaining all of that integration, but then it's also easier to then implement new functionality versus trying to pull something out that's in the spider web of applications and replace it. We're looking at a distribution or demand side management system as part of that platform. And so I think we're releasing an RFP now for that. We're also looking at a customer communication application, so being able to communicate with our customers when we're leveraging their technologies, if we're leveraging or we're kicking off a load flexibility event or a demand event, and so or demand response event. Being able to communicate to our customers in their channel of choice, whether it's text or email or through the phone, being able to let them know that we have an event that's occurring and asking for their participation. So really focused on that side, and then bringing that technology and interfacing that with the grid applications that we have today.
Excellent. What I find now is that some of these technologies are so good and so much more intuitive than they used to be, that the threshold for training is still high for us in utilities, but the gap between the technology itself and achieving that threshold is much more narrow now. So that's exciting, and it tells us that we're making the mandate or achieving the mandate of attracting talent to our workforce who's going to be excited about these initiatives and want to use these technologies to help get the job done.
Yeah, one of the things that we've done, we've got a sustainable communities group, and they actually have partnered with community-based organizations to prepare the workforce, so doing workforce development within our communities. And one of the areas of focus has been in the electrification space in terms of transportation electrification. So we have classes in terms of installation of EV chargers and maintenance of EV chargers, and I think that's probably an area of opportunity as we start to look at battery storage and the need for additional battery storage, not just utility scale, but also on the customer side. That's another area of opportunity in terms of the installation of battery storage. The understanding of the different chemistries that are out there for batteries is another opportunity as well. And so there's technical training that we're doing, working with our local community colleges, but we're also partnered with the universities here within the Sacramento area in terms of expanding our engineering offerings, but then also from an entrepreneur standpoint, looking at businesses as well and the creation of new businesses within the area.
Exciting. I think you're on the forefront of some of the most impactful change that we're going to see in the industry right now. So this is exciting from my perspective.